Yes, sir.
How's he doing? How's his wife? Please give her my regards, okay? No, no, I don't know. I know one thing. Prince Harry is not speaking for the UK. That's for sure. I think I'm speaking for the UK more than Prince Harry.
For the spare and his wife Meghan Markle, Donald Trump has had enough of them. Trump remarked to a British visitor when the conversation turned to Harry, "Can you take him back?" Wow. Everyone is fed up with the grifters.
The room laughed before anyone fully realized how uncomfortable the moment actually was. It happened fast. A few words, a grin, a casual remark delivered with the kind of confidence only one man seems capable of turning into global headlines within seconds. And suddenly, thousands of miles away from Buckingham Palace, Donald Trump had managed to pull Prince Harry and Meghan Markle back into the center of international controversy all over again. But this time felt different. Because this wasn't another celebrity feud. This wasn't a tabloid rumor. This was the Oval Office. And what made the moment so explosive wasn't just what Trump said. It was how easily the room reacted to it. The smiles, the laughter, the lack of hesitation. For many viewers watching online, it felt less like political commentary and more like public humiliation unfolding in real time. And the strangest part? The story didn't start with Harry and Meghan at all. It started with a question nobody expected to become so personal. At first, the atmosphere inside the room appeared relaxed. Journalists shouted questions, cameras rolled. Trump moved between topics with his usual unpredictable rhythm. Politics, foreign affairs, public figures, the kind of chaotic flow that often produces accidental viral moments. Then, someone mentioned Harry. And something shifted instantly. Because instead of brushing past the topic, Trump leaned into it. Hard. But before the world heard the actual comments, people noticed something else first. His tone. It wasn't diplomatic. It wasn't cautious. It sounded personal. And that's when viewers began sensing this conversation was about to go somewhere much bigger than a simple royal mention. Especially because Trump has a complicated history with Harry and Meghan already. For years, there's been tension simmering beneath the surface, public disagreements, political undertones, sharp remarks disguised as jokes, moments where criticism slipped into something more pointed.
And the president was also blunt about Meghan Markle's influence on her husband, telling royal biographer Robert Hardman, that wife of his, boy, what's she done to that guy? He's not wrong.
And while most political leaders avoid deeply personal commentary about members of the British royal family, Trump has never really operated by those rules, which is exactly why what happened next exploded online almost instantly. Because instead of staying neutral, Trump reportedly praised Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, while contrasting them against Harry and Meghan in a way many viewers interpreted as brutal. Then came the line people couldn't stop replaying, the suggestion that King Charles III should take him back. On the surface, some people laughed it off as classic Trump theatrics, but online reaction quickly became far more intense than anyone expected. Because beneath the joke was an implication that hit directly at the heart of Harry's biggest public struggle: exile, distance, rejection. And suddenly, the internet wasn't discussing politics anymore. It was discussing status. Because for years, Harry and Meghan built an entirely new identity around independence from the monarchy. They walked away from royal life publicly. They challenged the institution openly. They repositioned themselves as global media figures operating outside palace control. But Trump's comments tapped into a narrative their critics have pushed for years. That despite everything, Harry still looks emotionally disconnected from the world he left behind. And that's where this story becomes far more psychologically complicated than people realize. Because public humiliation only works when there's already underlying insecurity attached to it. And whether supporters admit it or not, one issue continues following Harry everywhere: belonging. Where exactly does he belong now? Britain? America? Hollywood? The monarchy? None of the answers feel entirely complete anymore, and Trump's remarks seem to expose that uncertainty in front of millions of people at once. But then something even more uncomfortable happened. The public reaction became divided in a way that intensified the entire situation. Some viewers condemned Trump instantly, accusing him of mocking deeply personal family tensions for entertainment. Others defended the comments, arguing Harry and Meghan invited scrutiny themselves through interviews, documentaries, memoirs, and public criticism of the royal institution. That divide fueled the story even further, because once a royal controversy becomes politically polarized, it stops being simple celebrity gossip. It becomes cultural warfare. And Harry and Meghan have increasingly found themselves trapped in exactly that kind of environment, especially Meghan. Trump's past comments about her have repeatedly generated headlines over the years, sometimes indirect, sometimes blunt, but almost always controversial. And this latest situation reopened those tensions immediately. Because according to critics online, the Oval Office remarks reflected something larger than a passing joke: a perception shift. One where Harry and Meghan are no longer viewed universally as victims who escaped royal pressure, but increasingly as polarizing public figures themselves. That shift matters. A lot. Because public sympathy has always been one of the couple's greatest strengths. Their story originally centered around escape, mental health, media pressure, protection of family. Many people genuinely saw them as courageous for leaving royal life behind. But over time, repeated interviews, accusations, and public disputes complicated that image. And now, moments like this reveal just how divided public perception has become. Some people still passionately defend them. Others now openly mock them. And Trump's comments amplified that divide on a global scale. But halfway through the controversy, another layer emerged that changed how many people interpreted the moment entirely. Because observers began comparing the public treatment of Harry and Meghan against the treatment of William and Catherine, and the contrast was impossible to ignore. While Harry and Meghan continue attracting controversy, William and Catherine have increasingly been framed as symbols of stability inside the monarchy. Reserved, controlled, traditional. Especially after Catherine's recent health struggles, public sympathy around the Wales family dramatically intensified. That comparison created an uncomfortable narrative online. One couple appears increasingly embraced by institutional respect. The other appears increasingly surrounded by controversy, criticism, and media fatigue. And whether fair or unfair, Trump leaned directly into it. And comparisons create hierarchy. Which brings this story back to something much deeper than politics: public legitimacy. Because Harry and Meghan spent years building a life outside the monarchy, while still remaining connected to royal identity. Their titles, public image, and global relevance remain heavily tied to the institution they left behind. That creates a contradiction people constantly debate. Can you reject the royal system while still benefiting from royal status? Trump's remarks essentially weaponized that contradiction publicly. And once he did, the internet exploded. Clips spread everywhere. Commentary channels dissected every word. Supporters rushed to defend the couple, while critics celebrated what they viewed as long overdue bluntness. But there was another reason this moment resonated so strongly: timing. The royal family is already under enormous emotional pressure right now. King Charles' health concerns continue dominating headlines. Catherine's recovery journey reshaped public sympathy around the monarchy. Questions about the future of the institution remain constant. Against that backdrop, Trump's comments landed like gasoline on an already burning conversation. And this is where things take an unexpectedly emotional turn. Because beneath the politics, the jokes, and the online warfare is something much sadder. Harry appears increasingly isolated from the world he came from. That perception has been building quietly for years. Every missed royal event, every awkward public interaction, every report about strained family communication adds another layer to it. And when Trump joked about King Charles taking him back, many viewers heard more than sarcasm. They heard a painful truth hiding underneath the humor. Because reconciliation inside the royal family still feels unresolved.